Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Easy Wood Tools, best-in-class carbide wood turning tools. Well, our neighbor Patrick came by again and said, I have a segmented blank for you. He calls this Cubert 3D. That is incredible. I can't imagine the amount of work and math that goes into making this. So Bryan and I were talking, it's like, well, it'd be kind of a rude thing to make another bowl out of this. So Bryan had an idea. So Bryan had this little toy from, wait, what, about the 50s?
Yeah, 70s.
And he had this great idea. We're going to make a flying saucer out of this big old blank here. And so we're going to just kind of build this as we go. It's like Build-A-Bear. So I thought, well, we need a chrome top or a glass top or whatever you call it. So we had this piece of resin casting left over from another project. We'll use that. This thing's so heavy, it's going to need some legs to stand up, so I found some wood that's been on the shelf for 20 years. We'll use that for the legs. This is going to be fun. So we're going to start with our blank. I found the center, and I marked out the biggest circle I can on there because we want to use every bit of this resin that we can. We don't want to waste any of it. Start the bandsaw up, and we're going to just carefully cut it out. It's so fun cutting resin, so make sure you have a dust collection system going to catch all this stuff. I do want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, because without them we wouldn't be here and you wouldn't be watching me. Yeah, Robust Lathes makes these incredible lathes. This is the American Beauty. They make 3 other types of lathes. And then we have Easy Wood Tools, who make some wonderful cutting tools, and this chuck that I love. So now, this is a really cool blank. We've drilled a hole in it, and the reason is because we want to use a worm screw to go into that hole to hold this. So we simply thread it on like so. It'll take a little bit of turning, like so. You can hear it squeaking. It's gonna level itself out. I'm gonna lock in. The American Beauty has a lock right there, so it locks it like that. So now I can use my hands to turn it. It's a little bit easier. So as this goes in, it's gonna tighten up against the chuck, and that will hold it firmly while we turn this. Get my fingers out of your way. There we go, and that's good and tight. So. And just for orientation, this is going to be the top of the flying saucer, and this will be the bottom. So carbide's what you want to use when you're working with resin. It chips out a whole lot less. You still have to be careful though, because if your resin mix is old like mine, it's going to be a little chippy. But you get these beautiful shavings off of it when it's working right. I got some rough edges there, so you hear it skating a little bit. So I'll take it softer. Now you can use a negative rake scraper for this, and I'm going to in a little bit, but the negative rake's a little gentler and a little slower, and I'm kind of wanting to remove some stock right now to get it out of the way. So once I have this rounded out, roughed out the way I want it, then we'll go negative rake because it'll do a lot better job of cutting, although that looks really pretty cool. Almost looks like you could eat it. I don't think it tastes very good though. I'm not only a member, I'm president of the Hair Club for Men. That feels weird, kind of warm. I like that. I kind of miss that feeling. I remember that when I was 6 years old. Yeah, prematurely bald at an early age. So I've set my calipers to 1.5 inches here because I want to make a mark, because we're going to have to hold this with a very tiny tenon. So I want to make sure that I get this just right. And that looks... If I held it right, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So you can see I'm making that little scratch mark. There we go. I can't make my tenon any narrower than that, or I can't hang on to it. So now we want to round out this shape and leave that tenon. Tiny bubbles make me happy. Also, tiny tenons do too. So this is the tiniest tenon I've ever made. I hope it holds up. I didn't want to waste any of this nice acrylic there, or resin that we did. So let's hope. Now what I have to do is, with resin, you want to take it from 80 grit all the way to 600 grit or so, 1000 grit, and then you put a cream on it. So I have all my air stuff running for protection, for breathing. I'm going to bring the speed down. I don't want to melt this, but I'm going to go through the grits, and then we'll work on the paste, and I'll show you how that works. So this stuff is what's going to make our resin shine. This is Yorkshire grit, and this is the regular grit, and this is the microfine. So we'll do both of them in order. So we'll start with this stuffy here. Get some of my paper towel. Okay, we're going to turn this up, and we have it still on the sanding speed, right? So I can apply this and not get splattered all over my face. Now I'm going to pick the speed up a little bit though, and let the abrasives do their work. You do a really light touch with this, you'll feel a change in the paper as the grit does its job and it starts to polish the resin. You can already see it's having quite an effect. So you just do this for a little bit. You take your time. It's not something you rush through. I'm watching the reflections on the resin. You can see the lights reflecting in it. See how sharp they're starting to get? That's a sign it's doing its job. So come over here. Now you can use a soft towel, but I just don't like using a towel against something like this. If it catches, it doesn't give. So we're going to have to go to the microfine, which is the white paste. We'll see if we'll go in here without splatting the rest of it. There we go. There we go. So now we're just going to gently, not a lot of pressure again. I'm letting the grit inside of the paste do the work. And that's why it's called Yorkshire grit. And you can now see the shining reflections are getting really sharp. So we're not going to be able to finish this entire thing because we have the tenon here. We'll do that later. We'll show you how to reverse that then. But now, let's buff this off real quick. It's starting to look like a mirror, isn't it? I'm excited to see how this looks. Awesome. That is gorgeous. So I've been working on hollowing out our transparent top here. And I just wanted to make sure that that tiny tenon was going to hold. You don't think I was going to show you that on camera and have it blow up, did you? Of course not. No way. Anyway, it is just a slog. You just take little sections and worry them down. You don't use a lot of pressure. You'll hear the sounds different here because it's spinning fewer feet per second in the middle. Then when I get out here, there's more feet per second, so it's a smoother cut. I'm still using the negative rake cutter on here. It is very, very handy for this type of work. It's very gentle. So I have to concentrate and not take too much off at a time. And we will get this hollowed out and polished. We'll be ready to move on to the body of our flying saucer. So this is how we're going to get rid of our tiny tenon, which I'm really proud of. That held up awfully well. These are like coal jaws. So these move in and out as you turn it, as a scroll jaw type of thing. This is from Ron Brown's Best. It's really handy. You have to turn your speed way down to use it because it gets to whistling. But we're going to take our negative rake scraper here again, and we are going to just get rid of this tenon, which served us so wonderfully. Awesome. So I mounted the blank with a worm screw just like we did the resin blank. And I'm starting to create my tenon here because I need a tenon to hold this on here, just like we did the last piece. But I want to show you something. I'm looking at the aesthetics a bit. So this is the bottom of the turning. Let me get this off for a second. Oh, it's a lot better. So I want the bottom to be bigger and dished and the top to be less dished. So I'm going to eye this up about right here, and I'm going to make a mark that's about 2/3 of the way up. There you go. So right there. So I'm actually wanting this to curve down like that and then barely curve on the top. That way our bubble will stand up and out. But anyway, I'm going to establish the diameter of my tenon first, then I know where to make my curve go. And I'll probably curve this side at the same time while I'm still mounted up like this. This is really dry wood. That's why I'm having to wear breathing protection. It is dusty. It's maple and walnut, I do believe. So now I'm working on the top a little bit because it's easy to get to here. And the more of this I move away, the less stress I put on the tenon when I hold it in the chuck. You can see I got the curve on the bottom the way I want it, and we're just sneaking our way into this mark here. So this shouldn't take too long. And then we'll reverse it and start working on fitting the top, the resin, to the flying saucer. We reverse the blank, and so now what I want to do is put the diameter of my dome over there. I actually kind of like this accidental feature here, but we'll probably move it in a little bit closer. So what I've done is I've taken my calipers and I have the diameter there of what I need to make the recess to accept the top of the spaceship, the flying saucer, excuse me. So on this I want to come in really too far, make my mark. Nope, nailed it, I'm perfect. So that's where I'm going to make a little shelf, hollow this out like a box, and then the lid will fit. So we're going to start working on that. Jesus, this is a dust magnet. So let's see if this fits now. Oh, look at that. That is perfect. Isn't that cool? And actually, I like this rim almost that size, so we're going to dress this up and get it out. There we go. And haul this down, make this into a really cool lidded box. Now, this is great for a flying saucer. I like this project. So we reversed our flying saucer. I've got the live center back up on the same hole I had before, so this perfectly centers it on my jaws. So I got my chuck jaws here with a chamois to protect the wood there. So it's perfectly centered. We turn it on, and all I'm going to do is actually curve this into the tenon we made and adjust the tenon. Because Bryan and I were talking off camera that we don't think this really needs legs to make it look right. We're just going to raise it off the table by having a little stand made of wood, which was the tenon underneath. Maybe down the line I'll paint it black so it looks like it's levitating. Once we get this done though, we're going to be ready for finishing and assembly. Now for the fun stuff, I'm using some wipe-on poly. Does that look good? Oh my goodness, that's going to look good. It's going to take several coats because there's a lot of end grain in here, and the end grain made sanding this a pain in the butt. Now, I might have a few marks, but I'm going to live with it. But the end, this is looking good. The walnut and the maple, and there's cherry in here too, I just realized. That's really cool. So I'll do this inside here. So we got a nice deep recess so you can make this flying saucer into a box. Or I have another idea. Let me wipe all this down and clean off the acrylic and I'll show you. So how about some lights? Right now I just have a little flashlight in there so it's not doing much. But I think this is a great idea. Get yourself a little LED thing that runs off batteries, put it in there, you can have this really cool glow. Be pretty neat for Halloween, wouldn't it? Also at the same time, you've got yourself a lidded box. So I think this was a great project, making a flying saucer. I hope you enjoyed it. Until the next time on Wood Turning, to outer beyonder. No, I didn't it. Far away, go away. Keep turning.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Easy Wood Tools, best in class carbide wood turning tools.